عايزين فين يا ماما؟
هفتكر المحطة لما اشوف. مش فاهمة الإشارة كده ليه؟ الواحد بيشوفها ازاي يعني؟ لازم أتصور مهزأة كده من غير شرط؟
مهزأة ازاي؟
مهزأة عشان تشيلي
انت
شرط.
عاملة اضراب، هتشيلي شرط ازاي يعني؟
تشيلي شرط بقى.
You've got to work with me, and today it's been a pretty awful day all round. Let's have a Lib Dem spokesperson who's going to give us a good example. Callum Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Laila Soueif is in the gallery with us today. She's currently on hunger strike in protest at the continued imprisonment of her son, the British Egyptian citizen Alaa Abd el-Fattah, who's in prison in Egypt despite the end of his 5-year sentence on the 29th of September.
Thank you so much for being here. No one more important than Leila. And of course, I'm a huge fan of anyone called Leila.
I'm Laila Soueif. I'm a professor of mathematics at Cairo University, and I'm the mother of Alaa Abd el-Fattah.
He has become, because of his incredible words, his incredible work, and his incredible family, if I may say, one of the stories that are important to tell for the sake of him, for the sake of them, but also for the sake of understanding what is happening to free speech in the Middle East, and has been for some time now specifically. But Leila, over to you, recognizing that you're still on hunger strike, and if at any point it gets a bit much, just tell me, and we'll move on to the others and give you a break. Over to you, Leila.
It's really difficult to decide where to start. But let's start. This last sentence was a 5-year sentence for reposting a Facebook post about a prisoner who had died in prison and who had been tortured. He was kept in pretrial detention for over 2 years, and then finally he was referred to an emergency state court and tried for disseminating false news. The trial was a complete farce, and he was sentenced to 5 years. When people ask me why I decided to go on hunger strike, I couldn't wait, because the Egyptian regime doesn't want to let anybody out of jail, ever. So there's no way I can wait again, and there's no way Alaa can wait again. And it hasn't just been 5 years, it's been over 10 years, because Alaa did another 5 years from 2014 to 2019 for demonstrating illegally. They charged him with organizing the demonstration, which was completely untrue. In fact, the demonstration was organized by a group called No Military Trials for Civilians, which was headed by my other daughter, Mona. Alaa was just, retweeting an invitation to a demonstration. And no, Mona was not tried. Alaa was tried because they wanted Alaa in jail, and they did not want to try 15 nice-looking girls and put them in.
I came here thinking I would be alone, and I'm sure that those in power thought my voice would be drowned out and ignored. Instead, I found my family was already here waiting for me. And all of you are what he dreamed of, and what he has spent a decade in prison for. A movement of movements that says our fight is a fight for all of humanity. That we are not yet, and we will never be, defeated. Free them all!
Across the region, in dealing with various regimes, Alaa represents exactly the most feared sort of opponent for these regimes. But to have somebody who actually, speaks out in a manner that actually we would understand and recognise, and all the causes that you mentioned, that he is actually inclusive and stands for human rights actually makes him a far greater danger to the regime.
This must be taking a huge toll on the rest of the family as well. And if it's not too difficult, I wanted to ask you, because you have been in jail, what kind of conditions he will be facing on a day-to-day basis, if that's not too difficult to talk about.
So he spends 23 hours in a room with 3 other people. When he's allowed outside in a space that is not totally open, like there is a ceiling. One of the lines from the Egyptian authorities through the British Foreign Office folks is that the Egyptians are worried they are not recognizing Alaa's Britishness because they are worried they will have another diaspora leader, another diaspora figure in London. He was a dead man. He was living in a dungeon. He was like in Guantanamo style thing before he was British. So don't tell me they don't care about his Britishness or they're not recognizing. They're recognizing it in his prison conditions. So it means you just need to push more.
Thank you. I know that was really difficult. I don't kind of.
Thank you for that question.
I used to create ways to like pass the time, like I don't know, I'm going to teach my cellmate French and then teach my other cellmate English. I mean, I would create like a crazy schedule of like just trying to fill my time, but there was an end in sight. Like I needed to fill this year and a half. The idea of like not knowing how much you need to fill, kind of, it feels pointless.
He is in depression.
I don't know how he's passing the time. I believe he must be sleeping loads.
The 18th of November was Alaa's 43rd birthday. He has lost his 30s. 43 is not too late to start, well, maybe not a new life, but a new phase of your life. But it's just about to become too late.
Hi, حبيبي.
يلا حضن كبير بقى.
Alaa's son Khalid, who is going to be 13 next month and has lost his father for the past 10 years or more.
أنا مش عارفة.
He's autistic. He's finally settled in a special needs school in Brighton. We have no intention of disrupting Khalid's life again. Should Alaa come out, when Alaa comes out, I hope he most probably will settle in Brighton. He needs to get out. Khalid needs him to get out. Khalid is a special needs child who has an extra need for his father. We all need him to get out, and I guess that's it. Certainly the British authorities are not doing enough, or Alaa would have been released.
قابلت عدد من أعضاء البرلمان كتير لدرجة إنه مش عارفة أفتكر. كان في تعاطف، كان في اهتمام، يعني الواحد بيحاول يستخدم الأدوات اللي النظام البريطاني حطتها للضغط على الحكومة، واللي منها إنه النواب البرلمان يسألوها عن هذه الأوضاع. مثلا كان واضح في جلسة البرلمان بتاعت سؤال الخارجية إنه الأسئلة كانت هايلة، لكن ردود الحكومة كانت دائما وأبدا لا ردود جامدة. مفيش سؤال واحد اللي بتسأله ترد عليه. الرد بتاع الحكومة دايما حاجات من نوع احنا واخدين بالنا، احنا بندرس، احنا كده. مفيش رد بجد.
Arbitrary detention. Yeah. And hostage taking. So for the families of those targeted in this way, it feels like you're fighting on two fronts. Not only is your loved one imprisoned, detained, prosecuted, pursued in whichever way it is, but you're also fighting for attention with your own government here to try and get support, which is absolutely shocking and just shouldn't be the way that it is.
I'm sure the Foreign Secretary feels the same as me and understands that Leila wants to know that her government is doing everything it can to bring her son home.
But the reality is this family has suffered enough. And the reality is also that President Sisi will only move if there is an economic threat.
It's of huge concern, and I pressed him to do more. We have continued to do that with the Egyptians. It's obviously sensitive because of the situation in Gaza, but I don't think they're under any doubt how seriously this is taken by the British system, the government and this parliament.
ازاي مش اضعف يعني دي incredible Hulk مثلا.
أنا حضرت جلسة البرلمان اللي كانت عن الجلسة المخصصة لأن النواب يسألوا وزارة الخارجية. بصرف النظر عن موضوع علاء أثلج صدري إنه هذه الجلسة كانت فيها 3/4 الأسئلة على غزة. يعني لو القرعة جت في صالح غزة أكتر من علاء دي حاجة ما تزعلش وما تزعلش ومؤكد إنها ما تزعلش علاء.
He still writes to us, but he writes like one letter to all of us.
Much shorter letters. He used to write these long, chatty letters. And I visited Alaa on his birthday. He said, I don't want to celebrate my birthday. And when you talk to him about any, at the moment he doesn't think he's getting out of prison. When you talk to him about the future, he says, okay, I don't want to put you down. You guys insist on trying, so you try. But it seems that the British government too does not act except when it's faced by a crisis. So I'm making a crisis. I'm perpetuating a crisis. And I hope we don't have to go to extreme crisis. I hope we don't get there, because I really don't want to leave my children with the memory of a martyred mother. I'd much rather, leave them with the memory of a loving mother. But if we must get there, then we'll get there.
أنا قلت من فترة وهقول تاني، أنا كنت زمان بدعي لأولادي وأقول ربنا يجعل أيامكم أحسن من أيامنا. دلوقتي بدعي لأولادي وأقول ربنا يقويكم على